the big story, at least for me today, one of the big stories, is that Julian Assange is honestly in grave danger right now of being extradited to the United States. He and his lawyers have expressed grave concern about the U.S. prison system, understandably so, and the solitary confinement that he will likely be placed in. Ryan Grimm had a great episode of Deconstructed today where he spoke to somebody who had done, I think, work with Anonymous, if I'm not mistaken, and had been put in some of these facilities and what that actually looks like. And so Assange is rightly concerned about his safety going forward. So his lawyers are... And
just a little bit more background. There's like legal restrictions against extraditing someone to someplace you think there's going to be any kind of human rights violations and like that, which of course, we're absolutely going to abuse Assange if we get our hands on him.
Chelsea Manning is the whistleblower who leaked to Assange, and Chelsea Manning was abused in our prison system to the point where she attempted suicide because of how unbearable it was, and Obama eventually, after way too long, did the right thing and commuted her sentence. So today, or I guess over the coming days, Assange's lawyers are seeking an appeal hearing. But if these judges, the two of them that are presiding over this in the UK, deny permission, that essentially means that Assange is out of options and extradition will happen. It's his only kind of remaining path forward in the British legal system to avoid extradition after a multi-year fight over this. And as I mentioned before, Assange is, via WikiLeaks, responsible for disseminating Chelsea Manning's incredible the information that she provided, exposing war crimes that the United States was committing in Iraq and Afghanistan, including notoriously the video of the Apache helicopter in Baghdad that killed civilians, including 2 Reuters journalists, and you could hear the soldiers enjoying themselves as they rained bullets down upon people. That was part of what was leaked to WikiLeaks, and Edward Snowden also worked with Assange to reveal the information about the NSA. So, independent of your feelings about Julian Assange as a guy, as I always say, that's not what's being litigated here. This is about the principle of press freedom. And here is some footage of demonstrators in the UK gathering outside of the High Court to protest on behalf of Assange.
Free Julian Assange.
Also, this is his wife speaking.
There is no possibility of a fair trial if Julian is extradited to the United States. He should never be extradited to the United States. He would never be safe. The United States plotted to murder my husband. He is being accused of journalism.
It is the start of a 2-day hearing to consider if Assange can be granted leave to appeal against extradition in the U.S. The WikiLeaks founder has been held in Belmarsh prison for almost 5 years. Assange published thousands of classified military and diplomatic documents relating to the Afghanistan and Iraq wars. He faces up to 175 years in jail. If the appeal is unsuccessful, Assange could be extradited within days, and this is his father, some footage of him addressing the crowd. Here's Jeremy Corbyn as well.
And Reporters Without Borders.
The world's mad at the minute, and we need people like Assange to come out and tell the truth, expose what's going on.
Assange for us, for me, he's a hero. He's an advocate for truth, peace, justice, and, I'm here today because we want to make sure that he doesn't get extradited to the US.
Assange, yes! Freiheit für Assange, yes! Free Assange!
This is in Berlin.
Assange! Free Assange!
We can play this clip of Chip Gibbons here if you have this, Bradley. This is him speaking just a minute at this at one of these rallies in I believe in the UK for covering it for Jacobin here. Yeah. There you can start playing.
Thank you very much. I'm with Defending Rights and Dissent, and I'm covering the trial today for Jacobin. And I was at the court-martial of Chelsea Manning, where I joined a number of people. I don't know how many years ago it was, where we took Obama's Nobel Prize and laid it on the gates of Fort Meade, saying Obama should give his Nobel Prize to Chelsea Manning, who has done more for peace than he had. This is the most important. The reason why I am still here 14 years later isn't just because the US and the UK governments will not stop persecuting WikiLeaks. It's because this is the most important press freedom trial of the 21st century, not just for my country, where the stake of the First Amendment is on the line, but for the world. Julian Assange is not an American. WikiLeaks is not an American publication, but the US government says they can come and find you anywhere in the world and put you on trial for exposing their war crimes.
Yep.
If that precedent is set, it will be the death of journalism in the US, it will be the death of journalism the world over, and it will be the death of all of our rights to say no to war and militarism. We have to remember that when the collateral murder video came out, when the Iraq and Afghan war logs were released, many people were disturbed by how the corporate media had cheerleaded on the Iraq and Afghanistan wars. And WikiLeaks was a breath of fresh air, reminding us what critical journalism that spoke truth to power was. Here we are 14 years later, and the media is once again cheering on more wars, a genocide in Gaza, bombing in Yemen, maybe another Iraq war, who knows? From the very beginning, the US government knew that you can destroy journalism by destroying the sources.
That is the essential point there, especially in the midst of what's happening in Gaza. We cannot allow the government to define what is acceptable in covering the atrocities that often are occurring under a massive shroud of secrecy that is built up by American empire and power. And, you know, obviously British imperialism is the older sibling of that. And so my hopes are not high for that reason for Julian Assange. However, I guess the fight lives on in that way. And if he is extradited to the United States, that kind of rhetoric and that kind of protest must be, I guess, transferred over here.
Yeah, hopefully those judges
up.
do the right thing.
I hope so too.